meet again at last. The circle is now complete.
What's the world coming to?
Well, you got a problem with what I did, Anthony?
No. Hey, no.
Fucking rat anyways. Whole family's all rats. Would have grew up to be a rat.
Stupid bastard. I can't fucking believe it.
Gee, I'm real sorry your mom blew up, Ricky.
Now you're gonna dig the fucking thing. You're gonna dig the hole. You're gonna do it. I got no fucking line. You're gonna do it.
Yes, I'll take the fucking hole. I don't give a fuck.
I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was pure and simply evil.
Jesus Christ. Mister, you okay in there?
Bunch of Indian coffees around here someplace.
Have you any idea what the cost of your actions is? What their effect might be? Or you to give them hope? What do you give them? We give them happiness. And they give us authority. Groovy.
Welcome, everybody. It is July 22nd, 2017. As always, I am Chris, coming to you live from the library on behalf of Cinephellas.com, the only place for all your cinephilic needs. Hello everybody, it's me, Count Mario. Unless you've been living under 1, 2, 3 pepperonis, you read about me in the newspapers or on the wall of your favorite pizzeria. You see, earlier this year, Apple technicians in Northern California designed a circular pizza box with escape pockets for the heat, so that the pizza will not get soggy during long delivery trips. There is nothing Luigi, my dear brother, and I despise more than the sweaty, milky pizza pie. So, during these experiments, the technicians downloaded the digital profiles, that's digital profiles of the Count from Sesame Street. He was needed to monitor how many pizzas were lost in the experiments. And Mario from the brothers, to be the pizza quality control specialist. A freak accident occurred, my friends, synthesizing the identities together. And 1, 2, 3 pasta fazools later, I was born! So, you are probably wondering, Count Mario, you are everything I could want to be in this life. I appreciate you gracing my ears with your magnificent presence. Mwah! But, Count Mario, why are you making a cameo on the Cinephellas Podcast? Well, the good toadstools at Cinephellas.com asked me to come in and officially send off Sean Spicer. Now, if you've been paying attention this week, you've seen that in addition to the usual craziness and the Russians and all of this craziness, that Sean Spicer, better known as Spicy, resigned as the White House press secretary. And after all, no one knows the Spicy better than Count Mario. Not even 1, 2, 3 Luigis. So, I have written a goodbye song for our good friend Spicy. And if you would indulge me, gentle listeners, I would like to share that with you right now. Goodbye, Sean Spicer. You could have been nicer, but with these rhymes, you will have the time, like a sub without its dam, to visit Cinephellas.com. Your war on truth is slashed, it has fallen and collapsed. No more press room dues, complaining about fake news. Because like a sub without their dam, you will now visit Cinephellas.com. Maybe your new life this time gets it right. You can be the critic with the tiny oh, pardon me, friends. It's, my mesothelioma is kicking in. You know, it's a son of a bitch. So goodbye, John Spicer. Though you could have been so much nicer. Now with these rhymes, you will have all the time. Because you are a sub without your dam. Now you visit. Now you can visit Cinephellas.com. So long, Spicy. To me, you will always be 1, 2, 3 times a lady. Ha, ha, ha. Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you so much, Count Mario. I laughed a little bit. I cried a little bit. I even had to check my shorts at one point because I just felt like I lost all control of my bodily functions because that was a beautiful, overwhelming piece. Oh, and Count Mario, don't forget to tell Princess Peach I said congratulations on that new fidget spinner that she posted about on Instagram. Anyway, let's get to the show. On this episode of the Cinephellas Podcast, I'm talking with Marko Zaror about his role in the film Savage Dog. Now, Savage Dog is written and directed by Jesse V. Johnson and produced in association with our good friends Accelerator Media. If you follow the podcast and if you follow Cinephellas.com, you know that we often work with Accelerator Media, so shout out to those guys. Savage Dog stars Scott Adkins in the origin story of the myth known as Savage Dog. It's set in Indochina at this very anarchic moment in 1959. So the French military had left the area, and it's still a few years before the American presence that would lead up to the Vietnam War. The region is filled with Vietnamese warlords, European war criminals such as ex-Nazis avoiding prosecution, and just several different bad guys from all walks of life. Scott Adkins plays Martin Tillman, a former champion boxer that ends up stuck competing in an underground fighting ring, battling for his life. But that's until he's forced to get revenge after losing the little that he did have. Marko Zaror plays Rastignac, the man who's responsible for taking everything away from Martin. So I was thrilled to chat with Marko. We talked about his early life growing up in Chile, how Bruce Lee inspired him to become a martial artist, and how he uses social media to inspire others. You know, hearing how driven Marko is made me reflect on my own practices. I've been a huge proponent of fitness for over a decade now. Every morning I even try to get in about 1 to 2 hours of exercise, but by no means am I as thorough as I could be. Plus, it all comes down to the fuel that you put in your body. And I've got a weakness for peanut butter, let me just tell you. Especially if it's married to chocolate. Oh, hot damn. Saying a peanut butter cup, it's like my kryptonite. But after talking with Marko, I really had to ask myself why I wasn't more deeply committed to the investment of my body. I'm happy to report that I've been trying to be a little more self-conscious of my intake over the past 2 weeks. It's a slow process, but I'm doing what I can. Also tried to cut out carbs, which is also incredibly hard for me. I love bread. I know you hear people say that. Oprah, thank God she can still eat bread, but unfortunately I don't think it's in the cards for me right now because it helped me lose a little bit of weight to cut it out. I hope after hearing the conversation with Marko that you'll also be inspired. So sit back, relax, and check out my chat with Marko Zaror, and I'll see you on the other side. Hello?
Hi, Chris.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Nice to hear from you again.
Yeah. So I have Marko, I'm not sure how to say his last name, Zaror, from Savage Dog on the other line, if you're ready for your phone interview.
Okay, great. Yeah, put him through whenever you have a minute.
Yeah, I'll put him through now, and you'll have 10 minutes.
Okay, great.
All right, 1 sec. All right, Marko and Chris, you guys should both be on the line.
Great.
Cool. Hi, Marko. How are you?
Hey, how are you? Very good, very good.
Excellent. I'm happy to talk to you today. Thanks for taking some time out of your busy schedule.
Yeah, it's okay. No problem.
Cool. All right. So I know we only have 10 minutes, so we'll just jump right in. Is that cool?
Awesome.
Okay. So in just doing some background research about you, right? I realized you grew up in Chile, right? And you were inspired by Hollywood martial artists. We got Jackie Chan, Jean-Claude Van Damme, and Bruce Lee, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what was it about their work that made you really interested in training specifically?
Well, basically, to correct that, my big inspiration and the person that, for me has been my kind of guide and everything is Bruce Lee.
Mm-hmm.
He was the one that got me into martial arts, and once I saw him on Enter the Dragon, I kind of never stopped. Like I was just totally decide that was going to be my way of life, and I'm going to train martial arts, and I became obsessed of training and learning, and I never stopped. Then I started seeing martial art movies, and get to know Jackie Chan, get to know Jean-Claude after when he came out, but I was not really a big fan. I was really a big fan of Bruce Lee and of course Jackie Chan mainly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, when Van Damme came out, it was a big thing because it was like the first not Chinese guy doing this martial art movie, so that was a big refreshing and kind of like a hope. But who got me in martial art was Bruce Lee, basically. That's what I was trying to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I don't admire the other artists, but I'm just saying, time-wise, I was Enter the Dragon, the movie that got me into martial arts. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So do you feel like with the influence that you took from Bruce Lee, specifically in martial arts, how did that influence your acting approach?
In 100%, like in everything, the way that I train, the way that what I want to do with my movies. It's for me, my movies are not. I got into the acting business because of martial arts, and not the other way around. Like I wanted to the screen, and that's what I've been doing. Thank God I was able to have this opportunity in my life to do my martial arts in front of the screen. But that it's not like I'm an actor that happens to know a little bit of martial arts and I'm doing action movies, you see.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw in the movie a way of expressing myself as a martial artist, and kind of, when I see the kids walking out of the theater, with the movies that I've done in Chile and, going around the world and show them around in festivals, and I see people coming out of the theater excited with adrenaline and emotional, and I realized, the same way that when I saw Bruce Lee's movie and I was a kid and I got inspired, this is a way to kind of pay him back or pay him forward, right, to the people that to show them a way to inspiration and have a healthy life, a philosophy, and helping them finding themselves as human beings. I think because for me, Bruce Lee kind of helped me find what was my life about.
Mm-hmm.
It was about training, it was about discipline, it was about, having a healthy life, and this is, through my movies, actually, I'm paying forward, right? So that's kind of how I see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, right? Because it's like, just from the practice, I'm sure that what you're really expressing there is more of a philosophical, spiritual element.
Of course, and I try to, the movies that I can, and I do have some control, I try to always add a little bit of philosophical reflection, or if it's not through the movies, through my social media now that we have this element that before didn't exist. So through the social media, I try to share as much as I can of my process from physical stuff of how I got my splits and how I learned this trick, to how I eat, how I, nutrition-wise and philosophy, and I try to share as much as I can, because I would want to be a kid and find all this information, and
Mm-hmm.
it's part of I think it's part of what it's all about, is communication and sharing,
Yeah, right, absolutely, because it actualizes the potential of why we even have social media to begin with.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
And so, speaking of your really unique approach, I mean, the first thing that really struck me about Savage Dog was that it takes place in this kind of unknown period in history between when the French leave Indochina and right before the Vietnam War, right? So what was it specifically about that period and kind of shedding light on it that interested you?
Well, more than that, what interested me was the character and working with Jesse. I always want to work with him since a long time. And when I saw the character and I saw that this assassin, that it's a dealer and it's, and has this code of honor, Jesse let me experiment a lot with it and come up with this thing about the matador and what the ritual that it means for him to be in fighting, in the combat, and how he respects that. Right, so that's that's why this ritual and this thing that he says before his fight, and the way that he stands with the knife, like he's always dreamed that he admired the matadors because of that. What it means, the relationship between the bull and the matador, that. So I kind of find very interesting that this type of character is going to allow me to go places that I never got to experiment with other characters that I play in my other movies. So that was the fun part, and the period or the time and all that. Also the costume and the way the fighting style was very interesting, because I had to come up with something that was believable for the time. That's why I got to Savat. There's a French boxing technique that they use a lot, and I was able to experiment a little bit of that in my choreography. So it was pretty cool. It was a very nice experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's interesting because the character in some ways mirrors your personal relationship to what you were saying about how Bruce Lee influenced you.
Yeah. Well, in how you see that, it will be interesting to see.
Well, you're just talking about.
What do you mean?
just in the sense of like Rastignac has this ritual, and he's borrowing from a tradition, right? And
yes, exactly.
Yeah, and that's interesting because as you obviously from your personal life, you have such a respect for tradition that you bring into your training, and now the character becomes a version of that.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it was so cool, and Jesse also let me do that, and I had a lot of fun doing the movie, and I think people will enjoy it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's a cool character, man. I think it's one of the most complex characters that I've done in terms of in my movies. I think Andrew also is a very complex, but this one is also and also you have the challenge of the language in this one. So that for me was a nice challenge, and I was so happy with the result. Mandrill is in Spanish, so it's not such a big challenge than when you're doing different language.
Yeah. I mean, I was gonna say, it'd be very easy for your character to sort of, fall victim to the usual tropes of a villain, but there's so many layers to it, and I think that audiences are really going to respond to feeling challenged from the way that you play him.
Oh, that's cool, man. Sometimes you lose. As an actor, when you do your role and then you see the movie, of course you don't see it with the same eyes of someone that doesn't understand anything about the movie and just watching the movie for the first time. So it's cool to hear that because it's a very honest opinion, from you. It's like if you seeing that's very cool. It's very cool. For me, it's impossible to see my character now in the movie and kind of have an honest opinion on it because I'm seeing many things. I'm seeing, production. I'm seeing logistics. It's hard to pull yourself out of the movie and just watch it as a regular audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and that's one of the coolest things because it's relatable, and also, like even though you're playing the villain, there were multiple times that I sort of found myself rooting for the character, and that's a complex feeling as someone that's experiencing the film for the first time, right?
That's cool, man. That's cool.
Cool. So I know we're almost up on time. So just to close out, I just wanted to ask you. I think your story is really inspiring. So would you give any specific advice to young actors that might be growing up outside of the Hollywood machine and they're really interested in kind of carving out a unique career for themselves?
Yes, I believe they do have the strongest element that they could have that, back then we didn't have, that is the internet and social media. And don't think that you need millions and you need big productions and you need all that to accomplish and to express yourself. Just express yourself. Just find really what do you want to express, who you are, and just do it. And grab a camera. Now even with a cell phone, you can shoot in the quality that it's incredible, and you can post it up online. You can start having people to watch it, to have likes and share what you want to share and what you have to share. Don't hold yourself, and you never know what that's going to turn on. That's something that the universe will decide, but you just have to do it. Just do it.
That's really beautiful, right? Like just do it, create, follow your heart, and good things will happen.
Yes, and if you have to, not every time we work in what we love. If you have to work on something that you don't like too much, but as long as it gives you time to keep developing, keep expressing, and keep doing what you love to do, it's good. It's good. So we all do have moments in life that we have to do stuff that we don't like, but we need to give it a reason for it. There's a purpose why I'm doing that. And maybe I have to do this job, for example, because that's going to give me the money to be able to shoot my little short. That's going to give me the money to support myself so I can do this thing that I want to do. So there's a purpose. And now you're happy doing that job that maybe you're not so happy about. Now it's a change of mentality. You need to understand why you're doing the things and then just do it.
Well, that's so great. Thank you so much for sharing those thoughts, and I really am excited for people to see the film, but also for people to hear your thoughts because I think they're going to find it very inspirational.
Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you for the support, man.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, and have a great night, my friend.
Have a great day. You too.
Bye. So what'd you think? Maybe you'll put down that extra chalupa now? We all could stand to get by with only 7 chalupas instead of 8. I mean, come on, right? 8 chalupas? No. And how about Marko's commitment to using social media for positive purposes? That's the way it was meant to be used. Connection, sharing positive ideas, not just posting about, whatever shoelace tip that you just got. That's how we can really build community in a world that's otherwise tearing us apart. Social media is a powerful tool. We should respect it. Speaking of that, you can follow Marko on Instagram at Marko Zaror. We'll have that link posted in the intro text to this podcast on Cinephellas.com. And make sure to check out Savage Dog when it hits theaters August 4th or when it hits on demand and iTunes on August 8th. Can you believe it's almost August already? Whew. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me on today's episode of the Cinephellas Podcast. This is Chris signing off and reminding you, as always, to share a movie with someone you love. See you next time.